Hey guys, and welcome to the ultimate showdown of Ultimate Destiny, as the mighty Ice Power does lead the forces of the Empire up against AC Moore and his Tomb King Undead Legions here on the battle for Itza, which is one of my favourite maps. It looks super awesome. I'm starting to move it more and more into my tournament rotation because I think it's relatively well balanced, though it does have quite a few unique elements to it as well. So this was a showdown. We did Death Before Dishonor, Qualify 3, just the other day, a live stream. Unfortunately, these guys weren't connecting to each other. They'd say they have had problems with lag before, so it was 2-2 going into the best of 5 final, and I let them play the last game offline because obviously I want them to get the best kind of internet connection possible between these guys. And when we're streaming and having extra people in there, it can be a bit of a hindrance. So now we're finally getting to see the outcome of said glorious battle. So let's go through Ice Power's build first. He was 2-0 down initially, up against AC Moore, and he's aiming for that reverse sweep. We have swordsmen dotted through the front line, including the Sigma Sons, the Regiment Renowned, so going very wide, very cheap and cheerful, which is the Empire way for the most part, and they're backed up by handgunners. It looks like we have 3, and from what I've seen of Ice Power and his Empire builds, he loves to bring triple handgunners, a Flame Wizard, and Volkmar the Grim, and that's just what we have here today. The Bright Wizard's going to be coming with Burning Head and Fireball, both fantastic spells up against the Tomb Kings, and the mighty Volkmar himself. And Volkmar is disgustingly powerful, coming in with the Grand Soulfire, Grand Hammer of Sigma, and Banishment, as well as the Jade Griffin. Luckily, he's in the force of the Empire. If he was in, like, greenskins or something, I think people would complain about him quite a bit. But I think he's actually, he's quite good. He's a nice, very powerful lord here for the forces of the Empire. And he's one of the reasons I think this matchup in general is Empire favoured. We have Empire Knights, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the back lines here. So nice, cheap cavalry as well to try to hold the line and block any gaps in the build. And then we have the Great Cannon with some Spearmen protecting it. So really fun build by Ice, coming in here looking for some good old Empire vengeance. As for Moore, he's on the back ropes at the moment, of course, in this best of 5, being 2-0 up and kind of losing that down can kind of tilt you slightly. So what's he done to try to counteract that? Well, we have Tomb Guard in the front lines. These guys are actually pretty bad to the bones elite warriors here, and they actually look pretty sturdy as well. I love their little golden face masks. These guys will easily chew through the state troops of the Empire forces. We also have spearmen guarding the flanks just against enemy cavalry, and then we have skeleton archers, and boy oh boy do we have a ton of them. 4 units in fact, including the Regiment Renowned, backed up by W Shopty Great Bows, no Chosen of the Gods, I'm afraid. We also have 2 horsemen in the back lines, and it is Setchard the Imperishable on his mighty kitty cat, which actually isn't his most expensive mount. The chariot costs a little bit more, which is kind of crazy to think of. Setchard the Imperishable coming in with Incantation of Protection and Incantation of Cursed Blades, arguably the 2 best spells in the lore for him, and boy oh boy does he look majestic on this glorious beastie. And the battle shall get underway. Now, the force of the Tomb Kings are going to be forced forward, mainly due to that Great Cannon pressure. And I really like this from Ice, pushing his army forward, so the battle's going to take place as far away as possible from his Great Cannon. And cavalry can't really whip around the flanks and shut this bad boy down, because the 1 unit of shielded spearmen left in deep reserve here. This is a pretty fun map because you can deploy sneaky vanguards up around the temples or in the trees, but it looks like both these guys are playing no underhand tactics, just going to be 2 armies marching to war against each other, and the undead hordes will be slowly, bumperously wandering forward, but their march is inevitable. You shot the Great Bows as well, waiting just a little far back right now. I guess they don't want to be shot too much by the Great Cannon. Volkmar the Grim getting ready to roll into the front lines and start causing absolute havoc. Handgunners as well, unleashing shots into the Tomb Guard, and Volkmar is going to love this. Rolling into elite infantry is what Volkmar really gets off on doing. Just pushing these guys down, obliterating them, and the Empire Knights will be charging in as well onto Tomb Guard. Some really lovely cycle charging in the front line, and a beautiful drive-by there by Volkmar, plus a Burning Head in the back line, catching the Blessed Legion. Oh no! It looks like Moores does realise this and pulls his skeleton archers forward, but because of the trajectory of the Burning Head, that actually backfires and catches the second unit. A little unlucky there for the Tomb King forces, but the Tomb Guard in the front line, they're stalwart warriors. They've taken the punishment, and once they close the gap, that's when the battle should start to favour them slightly more, though we do see a Grand Hammer of Sigma going down. Shopty trying to start to focus down Volkmar the Grim. He does have regeneration, but again, he's not invincible. You can do damage to him. Tomb Guard will be taking a charge there from the Sigma Sons. And on the flanks, it looks like the Horsemen have managed to pull back into some Spearmen, looking for some support up against these Empire Knights. But the Empire Knights quite happily going to crump these undead horses. The Spearmen, though, may be a different situation. And we've seen a fat banishment come down here on the Tomb Guard, as well as the Swordsman. And of course, even if it obliterates some of the Swordsmen, it's going to be good value for money, just due to how expensive the Tomb Guard are. But yeah, Volkmar does not care for the lives of his own troops, it would seem. The Skeleton Archers are starting to pour fire in, aiming at the Sigma Suns for now. You Shopsy are continuing to fire in, this time at Empire Knights. Another Burning Head comes down on the Skeleton Archers, and Section of the Imperishable is going to start clawing, ripping, and tearing at the Empire Knights. And he's doing some good job there, managing to bring those guys down. Handguards in the back seem to all be online. We do have some Tomb Guard pushing their way through. They are getting deleted likewise on this flank. Horsemen trying to apply pressure to the handgunners, but Empire Knights rolling dirty through their own troops straight into those horsemen, and yeah, Empire Knights will be able to cleave them asunder. In the back, we do have the Shopti Summon looking to shut down the Great Cannon, but fantastic micromanagement here by Ice. He's going to drop those cannons and just leg it as far away as possible, sacrifice a Spearman to save the Great Cannon. I think is a really good trade. So it's got a little bit messy now. Empire did a ton of damage initially, but now their backline is slightly being compromised, although they are managing to clean up a lot of that backline pressure. Tomb Guard slowly trying to drag their way through the front line, but it seems like Swordsmen, because of the help of Volkmar, are actually going to be winning that front line engagement, and I really struggle in this matchup from the point of the Tomb Kings, due to Firecasters and Volkmar. It's such a disgusting combo here. Section of the Imperishable is managing to save the worst kind of situations for the Tomb Kings, just putting out fires right now, driving off Empire Knights, and both these shops are still healthy, though more Empire Knights are starting to ramrod into the back line. Some of the archers are continuously pouring fire in, and it looks like the swordsmen on this flank have broken and running for their lives. That's going to allow the skeleton spearmen to start pushing into the back line. Some of these shops aren't really getting anywhere, to be honest, with the spearmen, and it looks like the Great Cannon crew just hiding out in the trees. Rather wise warriors indeed. One thing going really well, though, for the Tomb Kings right now, though the balance power is against him, he does have Statue of the Imperishable, and Incantation of Cursed Blade is going to go down on these horsemen, trying to chew through these handguns as quickly as possible, and Cetra is a meaty boy, still at 7,000 HP, whipping that tail back and forth on those handgunners, looking to drag them down. But likewise, Volkmar the Grim, 123 kills and barely a scratch on his paintwork, does manage to finish off some of the foes on that far side, and will be able to help beat back the Tomb Guard. Are these Shopti alive? It looks like they're both being really badly harassed now. Empire Knights are being crossfired, but more Knights have returned to the battlefield. Hearing the battle prayers of Volkmar, they decide to return to the field from their early retreat, and hop on top of the shops, and they should be able to deal with them rather effectively, though these Knights on this side are struggling somewhat more. And we've seen a fat banishment come down on the Skeleton Archers, who have surrounded the Bright Wizard here, and he'll love being in the middle of this inferno of death. He won't mind whatsoever. Wizards are an odd sort of character. In the tree line, Skeleton Spearman did try to push through to get onto the Great Cannon crew, but beautiful micro once again. Swordsman will be here to intercept, and it is Cetra against the world, which is a little bit scary for him. He needs to shut down the Great Cannon, but likewise, the handgun is pouring on that pressure, and Volkmar the Grim is looking tasty still. Cetra shall dance over, looking to hunt down the Great Cannon crew, who are technically firing here, but I don't think they're going to be firing too much longer if Cetra gets his wish, but he may need to turn and, hop on top of these handguns instead. He's found himself in a real tricky situation. Great Cannon crew actually going to be falling back here. I think they can sit on the Great Cannon, just Kobe one or two shots point blank range into the enemy battle line. Army losses seems to be settling in, though. Handguns continue to put so much work into Statue of the Imperishable, and Ice Power shall be claiming his seat in the grand finals of Death Before Dishonor. Epic stuff by both these champs, and we had some really fantastic games on stream. It was really kind of upsetting, actually, that the lag kind of did interfere, because these guys really evenly matched competitors, and a reverse sweep coming in from Ice is certainly no joke, particularly up against someone as apt as AC Moore. Brilliant play by both these lads. It was just a Pyrrhic victory, though I think by the midpoint of the battle, the Empire did start to look relatively comfortable. As I said before, I think this is really hugely Empire favoured in my opinion, but I may be completely wrong here. I'm not an Empire main. I do dabble with the Tomb Kings now and again, and Empire in fact. But what do you guys think of this matchup? Let me know down below. So we're going to get into the damage value and damage dealt of all these units in just a second. But before we get there, if you enjoyed, please do leave a thumbs up. Really helps support the channel and push it out to more people. And feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. And comment down below. Who was your MVP? What was your favourite moment? Who were you rooting for out of the might of Ice Power and more, representing their clans proudly? What do you think of Volkmar? And what do you think of this matchup in general? I'd honestly love to hear your opinions. I really do enjoy reading all the comments. And if you have nothing to say, feel free just to pop in a quack if you do enjoy it. There are links in the description down below to my Discord. There you can get involved in all the events I host, keep up to date with the channel, chill out with a load of cool people, as well as hone your battle skills, and see a load of pictures of ducks, what's not to love. There's also links to my Patreon if you would like to support the channel. We are doing lessons now as well via Patreon, which is quite cool. Something we're going to be trying out next week, actually. We have our first lessons, which is rather exciting. And there's also links as well to my Games Planet account if you want to pre-order Total War Warhammer 3. Get the latest DLC, all at a discount. There are links down below, so how you can do that. But anyway, back to the good stuff and the real reason you bad boys are here, and that is to see how Volkmar fared. 14k damage dealt, only 1,572 damage value, but boy oh boy did he have plenty left in the tank, still being full health. He could have easily pushed that up to the high echelons of the 3,000s, 4,000s damage value at the rate he was going. Brilliant play by the Bright Wizard. Those burning heads, if you don't catch them, are an absolute menace in the night. 250 kills, nearly 2k damage value. Yeah, that's some pretty meaty business indeed. Now, burning heads all round are very, very powerful. Popped on archer lines like that, you can move forward to escape them. But the big problem I find here for Tomb Kings is actually burning heads on your front line, because the Tomb King infantry is too slow to turn around and retreat away from a burning head. They'll still get caught by it. So if you're kind of locked in place by a unit in the front, it's basically guaranteed death, which is rather scary indeed. Spearmen obviously didn't get much damage value. Likewise the swordsmen, they were basically here to hold the line, and they certainly did that job rather well. And this is almost becoming an Ice Power classic from what I've noticed. The triple handgunners, and they all did pretty solid work. 470, 560 and 900 damage value isn't the craziest amount, but again they had plenty left in the tank in the end game. Glorious Empire Knight play, first to take out the mobility of the Tomb Kings, 1,700, 500 and 733 damage value on those bad boys, but likewise also flanking around, shutting down the shop team in the late game just to seal the deal. I like the one great cannon as well, just to really drag in the Tomb Kings, and it does apply pressure to your shop team as well, but unfortunately it didn't really manage to do too much work. But again, good micro, dropping the cannons and just legging it into the nearby forest is certainly what you should do if someone does summon your shop team upon you. As I see more, Setcher the Imperishable, only 500 damage value, or just shy, on his Kitty Cat, of course, is pretty poor value from him. And the Skeleton Warriors, as well as the Tomb Guard across the front line, really did suffer under the might and tyranny of our Lord and Saviour, Volkmar the Grim. Even the Ushopti kind of struggled, just getting 800 and 850 damage apiece on these bad boys, which isn't, of course, the best value. But still, it was an epic set to stream, and I'm glad I can bring you guys the final here today. There will be one more qualifier for Death Before Dishonor next Wednesday, I believe at 4:30 PM BST. If you want to join in and have a load of fun in that tournament, you'll be able to find that in my Discord, though I haven't set up the link just yet, but it'll be up there probably by the end of the day. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.